Good afternoon, or to those who are joining from the West Coast, good morning. We are so excited that you're here with us. You're here for the Fostering uh, and Partnerships webinar, where we're going to talk about the important work being done by the Trump administration, being led by First Lady Melania Trump, the White House Faith Office, and the HHS Center for Faith on this important issue of addressing the needs and challenges facing foster youth around the country. My name is Ben Odell. I serve as a senior advisor here in the center, and I'm honored to be serving as a moderator for this session, bringing people in and out of this conversation that are key leaders on this work. And so we're so excited that you're here with us. It's a time of season, it's the time of year where we celebrate with family, we gather together, we have such joyous times. But unfortunately, that blessing is not a reality for as many as for everyone in our community. And that often includes foster youth and foster youth aging out of the foster care system with the challenges they face and the lack of the family that they have in their lives sometimes because of any number of challenges that have been present. So, one of the things we want to do in the work that we're leading out of the Trump administration is modernizing the foster care system to make that blessing a reality to more and more people in our country. And so we're excited to talk about that today. For your information, this webinar is being recorded. We're going to make sure to send a link to that recording to everyone who is part of this webinar today, as well as those who weren't able to join. And we had more than 400 people from around the country who were excited about this, who wanted to know more about this, with faith leaders and community leaders and leaders across government who really wanted to be part of this conversation today. So we appreciate you sharing your interest, for taking time out of your day to be part of this conversation. In addition to the link to the recording, you'll also receive an email that'll serve as your confirmation that you participated today. In case that's something that someone in your team or efforts are looking for, feel free to share that email as a confirmation that you participated today. So, with those logistics out of the way, and before we turn to some of our other presenters, I'm excited to announce the logistics that our new center director, Dr. Monty Burks, is here with us in the Department of Health and Human Services. Monty hails from Texas, and the amazing work that is being done through the faith community with Governor Bill Lee's faith-based and community initiative. He's bringing all that experience, wisdom, and background, and just the great work that he's done there. We're so excited that he's going to be part of the team. And then after he shares a word, we're also going to hear from Mr. John Tate, who's serving as a senior advisor here in the center. John is a veteran political and public policy analyst with over 40 years of experience, including leadership roles on 5 presidential campaigns, most recently with the Donald Trump for President 2024 campaign. So, Monty, thanks so much for being here. We're excited for you to be a leader here in the center. And I'm going to turn the call over to you and then have you turn it over to John to introduce him. So, over to you, sir.
Absolutely. And so it's an honor and a privilege to be here. My name is Monty Burks. I hail from the mighty state, the volunteer state of Tennessee. I just started here this Monday, being able to work with this team. I see so many wonderful names in the list of people that are attendees today. I want to tell you all thank you. I'm honored to be in this space, to be able to work with such esteemed colleagues and to tackle so many issues and to bring our faith community's voice in rhyme and reason into solving some of our greatest issues. We know that government isn't always the answer, that our communities of faith, our houses of worship, our boots on the ground are the voices and the legs and the arms and the hands and feet that can do the magnificent work. I'm excited to be here. I'm excited to serve under this administration. I look forward to chatting with all of you. Please, please stay in touch, keep in touch, and I look forward to doing some amazing work with you and bringing you into this space because together we can solve some of life's and some of people's most greatest issues that affect them. Thank you all so much, and I'd like to hand it over to my colleague, Mr. Tate.
Thank you, Monty. Thank you, Monty. And I too am very honored and happy to be here. As Ben mentioned, I've spent most of my life in the political realm. Never thought I'd work for the government, but compared to Monty, I'm kind of a veteran now. I've been here almost a month. And I've already seen so many great things going on here at the HHS Faith Center. a great staff, great people to work with. And I am, as Ben mentioned, I'm very excited to bring my experience to the government to help the Trump administration in its goal to get faith organizations and churches and people of faith more active, and to let them know that they are welcome in our work and all that we do. So with that, I'll turn it back over to Ben. And as Monty said, yes, please keep in touch, and we're happy to talk to all of you.
Thank you, Mr. John Tate. Thank you, Dr. Monty Burks. Thanks for the leadership that you're bringing to this work. If folks would like to get in touch with them, great way to reach out is through our email address, faith@hhs.gov. That's a great way to connect with them, and we'll make sure you get connected to the conversations and the dialogues that you asked to be connected there, as well as with them. And so, again, thanks so much for everybody who's joining us from around the country who are celebrating with us in these new leadership roles that we're bringing to the office. Well, another key leader in this work is Director Jenny Korn, who works at the White House Faith Office, and we're so excited that she's able to be here with us today. She served all 4 years as Deputy Director of the White House Office of Public Liaison, and during the 2016 presidential election, leading Latino, majority, faith, veteran, and other coalition engagements, where they saw historic gains among those communities. She's also served for 2 decades working to elect officials and implement policies at the national and state levels that improve the lives for these important constituencies. And one of the lives of people she's changing is for foster youth as well, through the work that they're doing through the White House Faith Office with a senior advisor, Pastor Paula White, and First Lady Melania Trump. So Director Korn, we so appreciate you being here out of your busy day to share a little bit with us about the leadership that you're doing with the First Lady's office, about the executive order that's been signed, and all the work that we're going to continue to do in this space. So, Director Korn, I'll turn it over to you.
Thank you so much, Ben. I really appreciate it, and really appreciate HHS and Secretary for being such a good partner with the White House on this. And next time I'm going to hire you to do my bio and introduction, because that was fantastic. Thank you. Well, welcome actually to the White House Faith Office. First time ever in the West Wing as a direct report to the president, and that is to the credit of President Trump for elevating faith to the highest levels. And so we're so excited to be in your computers, in your offices, in your homes, wherever you are across the country. Foster care is such an important part of what we do. I'll give you a tiny little bit of background. For the White House Faith Office was signed into executive order February 7th of this year. And we have just hit the ground running, and we have 10 issues that we focus on. First and foremost being religious freedom, religious liberty, making sure that people of all faith are allowed to participate in anything that the government does and have a voice in their government. And one of the biggest things and closest to my heart is foster care and adoption. This was one that I asked Pastor Paula to please allow me to head up and lead on, because it's just it's such a passion for me. And then we went and spoke with First Lady's office about our executive order, and the First Lady was already, ahead of us on being part of this. I think, in the last administration, First Lady had already started meeting with foster care youth, was already trying to delve into ensuring that those, especially those who are aging out, were taken care of. And so it was beautiful to be able to just across the lines to have First Lady's office, the White House, HHS, across the government, for everybody to come together to work on this, because we cannot work on this in silos. We have to work on this together if we're truly going to make historic gains on making sure we take care of the children of America. One of the unique things that I see with our executive order and this effort is that we're looking at foster care and adoption in its totality. So as you know, there's a lot of families that if there was a simple fix, like they need a bed for their child, or they needed a pipe fix in their trailer, or whatever it was, something that's like $200, $300, that they could stay with their family. Then there's those families who just need a little help. Maybe the mother is going through drug abuse, and she's going through a program and just needs that little help in order for the kids to stay home. So that's the main goal, is to try to get as many children to stay with their families and come around that family to make sure the child could be in their home. And then we go into those who are truly in foster care and would like to be adopted. There are 384,000 houses of worship in this country. There's about 100,000 adoptable kids in foster care. If we were to get 25% of the houses of worship to partner with the government, we could get all of these children into amazing, loving homes. And then into the third tranche is those who are aging out of foster care and really need that leg up. I can't imagine. I mean, all of you, when you're 18 years old, can you imagine being out completely on your own, having to find a job, having to find a place to live, having no credit, having no money, and then just being sent out into the world? And so bringing together through the First Lady's office those people who would be willing to rent, those people who would be willing to employ, those people who are willing to mentor these kids who are being aged out of foster care and give them that step up to be productive members of society. So we're looking this as a whole, and we are partnering with the states. I heard that we have some of the states on too, because you're on the ground. People who are in the states, especially the faith offices there and the governor's offices, we're going to be working hand in hand with you guys as well. I'll tell a little bit about, go back to the houses of worship. What we're planning for next year is to do trainings throughout the country in different states to bring people of faith together, pastors, priests, rabbis, you name it, whoever wants to be our partners, to then give trainings to the church, because we know that there are people in our churches who would love to adopt, who would love to be a helping hand, but they don't know how. So we need to go and give them tools, we need to give them education, and then we need to help them along the way so that they know what to do. If you have a family who is willing to take on a child who maybe has a disability or has some kind of health issue, there are families out there, but maybe they don't have the finances, or they don't know, they don't have the equipment to be able to do that. We want the church to partner with us and partner with that family in order to get that family what they need. So it's not just the family that's adopting, but then it becomes the church or the synagogue who's adopting this child, who are then helping them throughout their lives. And we believe with a concerted effort, as you know, President Trump is all about results. When we tell him that we're going to do something, he checks up on, is that done? How soon can we do it? Can we do that faster? And so we're going to have to come to him with results on how many kids have been helped, how many kids are in homes, how many kids who are aging out have been helped and in a job. And we're going to be looking at those metrics. So we're really excited for next year. And for those of you who are able to watch the event that unfolded here at the White House with the president and the First Lady, with about 200 of the different groups that, and probably some of you who are on the line who do this on a regular in and out basis. That's really special when they give an issue like this such a high level. We're getting calls from all over the country saying, I want to help, because they had the bully pulpit and they used it to help these children. So we're super excited to partner with you all. The other thing too is getting barriers out of the way for people of faith. In the last administration, unfortunately, there were barriers to faith groups, faith organizations, and even people of faith on how they could adopt or what they could be part of. Those barriers are gone. Religious freedom is back, and we're making sure that people of faith who are doing some of the greatest work in America can be part of this huge endeavor. So thank you, Ben, and thank you to HHS and Secretary Kennedy for everything they're doing to partner with the White House.
Director Korn, thank you so much for being here. Everyone, this is literally, Jenny is coming to you from the White House, from that office that is where they are historically located for the first time in the West Wing. And so we so appreciate your time. We so appreciate you being here. And thank you for all the leadership that you're making us do. I will say, I'm not sure I'm going to be thankful for all the reports on results that we're going to have to send you, but we're going to show in how this is making a difference in partnership with you, and making sure we show how the faith community can be such a key partner in this work. We're going to hear some about even on this webinar today. So Director Korn, thank you so much. We so appreciate you being with us. We're going to let you get back to all the very important meetings you have to get to, but we so appreciate you being here with us today.
God bless everyone. Merry Christmas and Happy New Year.
Thank you so much, Director Korn. I am so honored and appreciate that they were here with us again, joining us from the West Wing. And now we get to hear from another part of the government that has the formal lead role in overseeing foster care across the country. And that's being led by Dr. Alex Adams, who's the Assistant Secretary for the Administration for Children and Families. He brings years of experience with health, human services, education, and regulations that he's going to use to advance President Trump and Secretary Kennedy's broader vision of making America healthy again. Prior to leading ACF, Dr. Adams spent more than 10 years in Idaho state government, most notably as Governor Brad Little's budget and regulatory director, as well as in the state of health and state office of health and welfare. He also knows that means he knows these systems, how they work, and how he's going to bring that knowledge and wisdom and leadership on how to address the challenges that we're facing in these systems. So, Director Adams, thank you so much for being here with us. Thanks for the work you're doing on this space and sharing with us a little bit about what this work and what the executive order and what they're leading from the White House means for the Administration for Children and Families. Turn the call over to you now.
Certainly. Thank you, Ben. Appreciate the kind introduction and the work that you were doing. Tough act to follow. And Jenny, that was an outstanding overview of the executive order. What I thought I would do is put a little bit more color into how the Administration for Children and Families, or ACF for short, is looking at these issues. If you're not familiar with ACF, we are one of the operating divisions within HHS. We run about 60 programs and a $70 billion budget. You might know us for Head Start, the Child Care Block Grant, cash assistance like TANF. But most germane to this call, we run the Title 4B and Title 4E funding, which is funding for foster care, adoption assistance, and guardianship assistance. I could not be more excited about the executive order that President Trump and First Lady Melania Trump jointly signed for all the reasons Jenny outlined. I can confidently say, as a former state child welfare director, if we execute on that executive order with fidelity, we will make a major difference for children and families throughout the country, and we can turn around years of backsliding. What I thought I would do is put a little bit of a finer point on what ACF is looking at specifically within the executive order, and I see somebody dropped it in the chat. Would encourage you to read all of it because there's a lot to like in it. But the section about maximizing partnerships with Americans of faith, we're taking quick action on, because this is an area where we need the partnership. Nationwide, we have too few foster homes. If I have 100 foster kids coming into the system, we only have 57 to care for them. When we don't have enough homes for kids, when we have kids waiting on homes, not homes waiting on kids, you put them in group homes, congregate care settings, Airbnbs, short-term rentals. These are not nurturing, stable, loving environments that we expect all children should have growing up. We want to focus on increasing the number of homes to children. I did that in Idaho. When I started at the Idaho agency, as Ben said, I had 74 homes for every 100 kids coming in. When I left, I had 104 homes for every 100 kids coming in. We did that by setting up our Office of Faith-Based Initiatives. We created the Office of Faith-Based Initiatives, engaged houses of worship, talked to individuals, and really, these are problems that cannot be solved by the government. These are problems that require families of faith, people with sincerely held beliefs, and we need to roll out the red carpet for them. One of the things that concerns me at ACF is that the message that a lot of states have been sending is that families of faith need not apply. Too many states have been larding up their licensing requirements with things requiring prospective foster parents to commit to doing certain things that might violate their sincerely held religious beliefs or moral convictions. We are going to fight that. Since the executive order has been signed, we've sent 13 letters to states ranging from Oregon and Washington to Massachusetts and Illinois, asking them to provide certain information to us that we've heard that gives us concern about potential bias in the licensing process. Since those letters have gone out, 2 states have committed to changing those policies. And, I would extend an invitation to anyone on this call or listening on this call to, if you see something that is deterring families of faith from raising their hand and volunteering to be a foster family, please flag those for HHS, and we're happy to take a look into those. Statistically, families of faith are much more likely to raise their hand and volunteer. They're much more likely to open their heart and their home to a child. And we want to make sure that the message that we're sending to the faith community is that we will have their back and we will ensure that they can open their heart and their home without having to sacrifice any of their sincerely held beliefs or convictions. I did see a question in the chat. What about California? Probably goes without saying, they're one of the states that received one of these letters. But again, don't assume we know all of the issues out there. The inbox is open, and I would be more than happy to review and see where we might be able to lend our voice. The other thing I would note is, I loved Jenny's message about adoption, and I loved, her comparison of the number of houses of worship versus the number of kids on adoption list. I would just underscore and highlight her point. The same point obviously holds true with foster care. My goal would be to get every state with a ratio of 100 homes for every 100 kids. As I said, right now we only have 57 homes for every 100 kids coming in. The only way for us to be successful is to partner and collaborate with you all. So I'm so excited that Ben invited me on. I'm so excited that we're having these conversations. And just know that you have an active and willing partner at ACF. And we'd love to work with you in whatever way makes sense for you to get the number of homes up relative to the number of kids. So appreciate what you all do. I hope you all have a great Christmas season, and look forward to working with you in the new year. And Ben, I appreciate you having me on, and I will yield my time back to you, sir.
Thanks so much, Dr. Adams. Thanks for the leadership you're bringing to this work. We so appreciate you've been here just a few. I'm going to give you more time than John and Monty, but really hitting the ground running and making sure with Home for Every Child and the initiatives that you're launching that we are getting off on the right foot, connecting the dots, building these relationships, and hitting the ground running even more in 2026 for all this work moving forward. So thank you for your partnership and for your leadership on this important issue and all the ways that we're going to do work together and moving forward in the new year. So thank you so much. Now that you've heard from our federal government partners from the White House Faith Office, literally the West Wing, as well as key leadership offices in the Department of Health and Human Services, specifically the Administration for Children and Families, we're now going to turn to the community, to where this is already at work. And one of the reasons why we can do this work and lift up this work is because we have so many excellent examples of this work being done in local communities. And one of those efforts, one of those groups that's doing this work is Eric Gilmore. Eric is the founder and CEO of an organization called Immerse, Arkansas. Eric and his wife, Kara, started it in 2010 after serving as house parents to teens in foster care and witnessing firsthand the challenges of youth aging out of the foster care system. Today, Immerse supports over 500 youth each year, empowering them to enter adulthood as overcomers, resilient, healing, and ready for life. So, Eric, thank you so much for being with us. Thank you for the work you've done over now decades to support and address the needs of foster youth there in Arkansas. And so we're just excited. Kind of tell us a bit about that beginning story and how that helped you and your community and your wife and your congregation and friends to help lean into this issue.
Yeah, for sure. Well, I do want to say a big thank you to you, Ben, to the Faith Office, to ACF, and for all who are shining a spotlight on the needs of older youth. And I just want to say thank you for acting swiftly. Older youth are often put on the back burner of the system, and I think these are some great efforts. Yes, I'm the founder and CEO of Immerse Arkansas, and our big goal is we want to build a broad, reliable pathway to healing available to every youth from crisis in the state of Arkansas. So we've drawn a circle around young people between the ages of 14 and 24, kind of this critical decade, maybe they're in foster care, they've been adopted, they're aging out, Maybe they're homeless and should have been in the foster care system, or they're trafficking victims. We want to see each of these young people enter adulthood successfully. So, like Ben mentioned, my wife and I were confronted with this reality early on. We were in our early 20s, and we signed up to be house parents for teens in foster care. And we quickly saw that young people were aging out in some really tragic ways, specifically Megan. So we met Megan when she was about 14 years old, but she came into foster care when she was 12. Up until that point, she had experienced all kinds of horrific abuse. And between the ages of 12 and 18, she was in 50 different foster care placements. So she bounced around from home to home, facility to facility, until her 18th birthday came near. And the day before her 18th birthday, she called and she said, "Hey, you guys come wish me off at the Greyhound bus stop. And I'm going to be an adult now, and come say goodbye to me." So we couldn't really wrap our minds around what was going on, but we showed up, and Megan pulled up with her caseworker, and she had one bag of clothes. She had one night's worth of her bipolar medications. And her caseworker bought her a one-way bus pass to go back to live with some family members that she hadn't seen since she came into foster care. So we're standing there, we're watching this unfold, and not really sure what to make of it, but just felt this deep injustice happening. And so the questions going on in our minds were, man, why isn't somebody doing something here? Followed by this uncomfortable voice of, "Hey, why aren't you doing something?" And then as a person of faith, we're like, "Hey, where's the church in this?" Followed by, "Oh, hey, you are the church." And so we started asking around, and we started talking with others. We talked with churches, we talked with business leaders, we talked with government leaders in our state, national groups like CAFO, and folks said, yeah, this is a real issue. Not everybody that ages out of foster care does so in such a tragic way, but this is a real need. And so this is how Immerse came to be. And since then, we've worked with hundreds and hundreds of young people, each with their own unique story. But they face this unfortunate reality that their lives have been deeply marked by trauma. And it just makes entering adulthood very challenging. Well, like Ben said, we're about 15 years in now. And we've done our best to learn from the young people that we're serving. And what we found is that when we surround these young people with unconditional relationships, so somebody who says, "Hey, I'm with you no matter what," tools that anticipate their needs and dreams, so support that's ready to go when they are, and then a vision for their restored future. So somebody in the mix that can say, "Hey, I see you, I see what you're designed for, I see what you're capable of," and then can communicate that to the young person in a compelling way. When these things are put together, it creates a climate. It really creates a pathway that leads to healing, growth, and transformation. So what does this look like practically? So our model is fairly simple. We pair a coach and a therapist with each of these young people who get in the trenches, who put together a series of goals, and then help the young person walk that out over the course of sometimes 12 to 24 months. Practically, in terms of programs, we have a youth center that's across the parking lot here from me, where nobody sleeps there, but young people can just come and get help when they need it. They can get a meal, they can get a shower, they can do laundry, but they can also meet with a therapist, or they can get help getting a job, or there's always all kinds of fun things going on, or life skills classes. In addition, we have a transitional living program. It's houses, apartments, where young people can practice adulthood, get their feet under them, get a job, start going to a training program, or get into college, those kinds of things. We put those pieces together. And then last year, we were able to open what is Arkansas's first shelter dedicated to young adults. And we were thrilled to do that. We call it The Station. And it's exactly what we wish would have been in place for Megan when she aged out of foster care. But rather than it feeling like a shelter, it feels more like a dorm. And young people have their own bedroom, their own bathroom, and they have therapists and all those same supports where they've got the space and support that they need to get on their feet. And they're not getting sucked into chronic homelessness or drugs or being exploited. So this is the continuum that's come together. This year we'll serve over 500 youth from crisis. We're seeing the data showing that about 80% of youth who are exiting our transitional living program are hitting some key outcomes in terms of improving their well-being, finding safe and stable housing, growing that support network, and then increasing their earning potential through education and employment. So we're excited to see some encouraging results. Well, I've been asked to share about Immerse, but I want to share about two more things that I think are making this work. And one, it's community ownership. So 15 years ago when we got started, there weren't a lot of people talking about youth aging out of foster care. I see it completely different right now. So last night, a local business brought dinner and served a group of our young people and our mentors that gets together on a weekly basis. Tomorrow night, there's a church that's going to host a Christmas party for over 75 of our young people, and they've bought gifts for each and every one of them, and they're gonna have a great time doing that. Just this week, our DCFS leaders got together, a group of other leaders, and said, "Hey, how can we make Arkansas? We know it's horrible to be a teenager in foster care, but how can we make Arkansas a great place to be a teen in care if you have to do that?" So we're seeing an ecosystem built that cares for these young people and gives them the tools they need to succeed. The second component is the young people themselves. So day after day, we get to witness young people who are doing the hard work of getting that first job, of building that relationship with a mentor, of being the first one in their family to get into college or to learn a trade. And we're seeing them break these cycles of poverty and trauma that have afflicted either their families or afflicted too many young people in Arkansas for too long. Well, I think it's this combination of a community that's bought in, the young people who are motivated, and then what I believe is the very hand of God together to create something beautiful. So again, I love that we're shining a light on these young people, and I'm excited to see how we as a state, how we as a nation can get better at serving these young people and helping them enter adulthood successfully. Thanks again for letting me share.
Eric, thanks so much for those words, for the work that you all are doing. And I can tell you, like the Christmas party, the ways in which communities are stepping up alongside of your work is just exactly what we need to see happening. Communities coming around and supporting this work. Before we turn to Kim real quick, and we have a little extra time, I was hoping that I could just ask you a quick question. Like, let's say we have lots of faith leaders, we have lots of organizations on the call today. If you got a call tomorrow from a house of worship and they're saying, "Hey, we'd like to do this with you," what would solve some of the biggest challenges that you have? Or what would you encourage kind of any of the faith leaders on the call today to step in that would be super quick and make a big difference, but also kind of just meet a huge need that you're seeing for the youth that you're working with right now?
Yeah, for sure. That's a great question. I think first thing I would suggest is just quickly ask around, see if there's anybody in your community that's already actively engaged. Just ask how you can help them. How can you come alongside them? Two, anything in that mentoring realm is so critical. So much of this challenge for young people has to do with relationships. So many young people only have people in their life that are paid to be in there. And that's a really hard way to enter adulthood. So looking for ways to build those relationships, be a mentor, be a place for young people to belong on some of those holidays like you were talking about earlier is such a big piece.
That's awesome. Yeah, it's about relationship, right? It's about
It
building
is.
these relationships and connections, having those be, change happens at the speed of trust. And that trust is building between nonprofits and houses of worship, so between youth aging out of foster care and mentors, and all the amazing work that you're doing to build that trust in Arkansas through these partnerships and relationships. So thanks for this work that you're doing, Eric. Thanks for being on to
Yeah,
talk
thank
to us
you.
about it. And thanks for serving kids. Thanks for that Christmas party. Send our best. Send our best
Yeah,
wishes at that Christmas party tomorrow. We'll
yeah,
be celebrating with them tomorrow. Thanks
yeah.
so much.
Thank you.
Next, we're going to hear from a house of worship because we know, as we heard from Eric, this is such an important part of these connections and conversations. And so we were so excited to be connected to Kim Simmons. Kim serves as the community engagement pastor at a house of worship called Suburban Christian Church in Corvallis, Oregon. She began this journey back in 1999 when she was hired as the church children's director, a role that opened her eyes to the profound challenges within the foster care system. And I don't want to say anything more than that. She's going to tell us more about what that story looks like, which is amazing. So, Kim, thank you so much for being with us and for sharing your story of how you and your congregation have kind of stepped into these spaces and been part of the success stories in Oregon. So, turn it over to you.
Thank you, Ben. I hope this is an encouraging story for some of you that are just wondering how to get started, because we certainly didn't know how to get started. And when I began in children's ministry, I really found that I was failing as we had children coming into our programs that were in foster care, and their needs were beyond what I was able to do. And that was just not acceptable. So as our church grew, so did my awareness of the needs of children and families in our community, and I wasn't alone. Many of the pastors and leaders in the churches in my community also recognized some of those needs and began to invite city and county leaders, school principals, and child welfare staff to our prayer and faith network gatherings to bring awareness of some of the greatest issues, because we really wanted to understand. And the more we learn, the more we determined to work together collaboratively to make an impact, by identifying what we could do better together than we could do apart. So about 11 years ago, the Children's Ministry Network I was involved in invited a county child welfare manager to inform us of the state of our child welfare system. And she revealed to us the brokenness of the system, the heavy burden on staff, the lack of homes available, and painted a picture of a really, truly hopeless situation. Then she looked at us and she said, I'll never forget this, the needs are bigger than we can handle. Can't the churches do something? And she was not the only child welfare person to ask this question. As the church was becoming more aware of the needs, some of the child welfare staff, they were noticing the untapped resources of the church community. Churches have facility space, volunteers, organizational structures, communication streams, and other resources. And so that question, can't the churches do something, that became our marching orders. And that question still rings in my ears. So we're in a small town, we have limited resources, and we didn't have access to some of the organizations that were doing really good work in the Portland area. But we knew we could learn from them, and so we chose certain initiatives to implement immediately and others to plan for the future. And to help us get our foot in the door, foster parents and partners who had ties to child welfare staff began making some introductions for us. It wasn't easy at first. There was a lot of distrust of having involvement with the church, and that was for good reason. I learned that many child welfare workers' experience with the church was not helpful. It actually created more work for them. They shared stories of well-meaning people dropping off loads of goods that were not needed, and churches offering to do single projects that really were not helpful, or assuming that they knew it was needed without bothering to ask. So a successful partnership would require a move from projects to people and forming trusted relationships. So the church had to learn to really take a humble posture, to offer help and to be willing to work within the system's organizational structure. A successful partnership would also require a mutual respect and honoring of one another's roles and boundaries. So we divided our team into 3 focus groups. We had a child welfare, hospitality focus, children in care, and also foster parents. We learned about the high pressure and often thankless work done by our child welfare staff, and found that offering them hospitality in the form of like coffee or a meal let them know that they were not working alone. We saw them as partners doing the hard work that we were not equipped to do, and were committed to encouraging them. And this opened the doors for more of us to be involved. We learned about a simple way to engage new volunteers by asking them to build welcome boxes for children that were coming into care. And it gave them something to hold on to and a distraction during a really traumatic time, being removed from their homes. We learned about a program created by a church in the Portland area called Foster Parent Night Out that could provide monthly respite for parents and a fun night out for kids. So in 2015, we began building our team for Foster Parents Night Out, and now we call it FP&O. Some of the programs that we offer at our church are faith-driven as opposed to faith-based, but this program is a faith-driven program. All of our volunteers are welcome to join this program. We have volunteers from other local churches. We have some from the university. We have some that come from the community. There's no religious instruction involved. It's just a night of fun and connection with safe people in a safe environment, in a secure setting. But the fruit of this program, the fruit of FP&O, is really more than I could have imagined. We serve all the foster parents in our county who are interested in participating. Our volunteer count is extremely high, with our target being 1 volunteer to every 2 children. And the result is that kids have this undivided attention from a caring adult, and this is really priceless. Parents have told us that this one night is often the only break that they ever have because of the difficulty finding people who can really understand the needs of their children. It's helped our valued foster parents to continue to stay in the journey of fostering and do this critical work. It's also become a hub for us to connect with our families in all sorts of ways. The relationships that we form with parents enable us to learn about the changing needs, and we try to connect them with additional support as we're able. There's a foster family freezer meal team that delivers monthly meals for families who request them. And we have hundreds of volunteers who have participated over the years that we've offered FP&O. Each one of those volunteers, this is just a really important thing to think about. Each one of those volunteers is exposed to the relational aspects of the foster system. And often this exposure leads to a desire to be more involved. And it's an incredible thing to lose a volunteer because they are returning as a foster parent with kiddos. And we've seen that happen so many times. So my work began with a focus on the foster system, but the ultimate goal of the foster system is to reunite kids with family whenever possible. And this leads to the question of what happens after reunification. Many parents who have children removed have grown up in the foster system. They've experienced generational poverty and have little to no support. And the truth is that many of our foster parents, they really need parents themselves or family or community at the very least. If our goal is to see children successfully reunited, we need to extend our focus to ongoing relationships with their biological parents whenever possible. Our government systems offer temporary services, but the faith community can offer ongoing relationships that can bring healing to families. I've witnessed foster families who've built trusted relationships with biological parents or relatives and continue to function as extended family. They help with resources, housing, and childcare have been offered and received by parents working hard to be reunited with their children. And I want to share a couple of stories with you that are really dear to my heart. We had a mom who could not reunite with her child due to lack of a bed and some other essentials. This was such an easy fix for members of my church, and it formed a relationship with the mom who told me, she said, I was the first normal, meaning the first non-government employee person who had ever reached out to her and been involved in her life. That really hit me. We had a mom who couldn't reunite with her children due to lack of housing, and the foster parents that were caring for her kids creatively worked out a plan to rent her a unit at a rate she could afford. They continue to have contact with her and her kids. And then just a really special story. Over the past couple years, there's a sibling set that has spent time in multiple foster homes, hoping to be reunited with a parent who struggled with drug addiction. A plan was finally made for them to move in with a relative who's a single parent with multiple kids. The foster parents and respite team who've cared for these kids offered to continue support, and the relative was so grateful. She told me she didn't have support and she could not do this alone. And so now we're building an extended family that includes the kids, the biological parent, the aunt, cousins. And this Sunday at a Christmas party we had after church, the entire group was building gingerbread houses together and just experienced just a little taste of what this could be like. So that was just a really neat story. And there's so much that the faith community can do. And there are excellent organizations who've done the work to help bring churches and houses of worship together, to provide training and share best practices and provide a stable community for youth aging out of foster care, which is something that we really want to see happen. So my hope is that our shared mission to care for the vulnerable and needy will unite us, that we will be diligent in sharing what we've learned with one another, and that together we can help bring lasting change to our communities. So I know everybody can do something, and we like to say that, but together we can do so much more. With these coming resources through our government, I'm just even more hopeful and excited about the future. So Ben, thank you for inviting me on to share.
Kim, thank you so much for that amazing story. The ways in which that first initial conversation is leading to so many more exciting things, conversations, efforts that are making a difference in the lives of these youth. Like you said, like gingerbread houses. Come on, let's put it all together, right? Let's build a house, let's make a home so we can think about what that can look like for us in the future. Kim, as you were kind of building these relationships, what were some of the important ways that you kind of said thank you and started to build that bridge of trust? Kind of, you noted there were reasons and challenges for some of those relationships. What are some of the things you would encourage others as they reach out to connect with their government offices around this work to kind of think about the questions to ask and maybe even a little bit about the posture that you took in those conversations?
Oh, I think for us, it was important to have someone to really be that handoff. So working with some of the foster parents was very helpful because they already had those relationships. So they could kind of make the introduction for us. From there, a lot of what we did was just acknowledging that we hadn't done things well. And then really getting to know what are the needs. Just saying thank you. The first initial interaction that we've had with our DHS staff was not necessarily a warm welcome, like, but it took time. I think there was a real hesitation to open their doors to us because they wanted to see that we were actually going to show up. So I think that promise and that dedication to show up and to do what you say you're going to do and to not quit is critical. And that takes time. So this is something that takes time. Like I said, we started 11 years ago. And so the relationship we have now is pretty vibrant. In fact, we're planning a party at our church on Monday for all of our kids in care and their bio parents, where we get to host the party and throw the party, and all the DH staff gets to be there and not have that to worry about. It's just another way that we can share resources and support our local child welfare office.
So Kim, I recently, as a parent, I was told you spell relationship Time, right? And just in the ways in which we need to build relationships, it takes time to build a relationship with kids. It takes time to build relationships with government agencies and government leaders and the people who are serving the needs of children in our communities. And so I think not only time, but also consistency, right? As a parent, we also know it's not only important to show up, it's important to show up consistently.
Yeah.
And so that builds that trust, that builds that relationships. And we want to see those relationships strengthened, built across the country. Thank you so much for giving us this example of what it can look like and helping us encourage other leaders, faith communities to do that, to spell relationship in terms of time and spell relationship in terms of consistency and showing up for their partners and continuing to show up to make a difference. You're really modeling for all of us what this can look like. So thank you so much.
Thanks for having me.
Yeah. Well, I am excited to turn back to our director, Dr. Monty Burks, for a quick word here at the end. I think I misspoke. I got all excited. I had him coming from Texas. He's Southern, I'll give him that, but it's from the great volunteer state of Tennessee, where he's been doing great work, including on this foster care work. Monty, tell us about what you've been doing there and just how you're excited to bring that here to this conversation today too.
Absolutely, Ben. And first, it's been an honor to listen and hear my esteemed colleagues, Eric and Kim, really attest to the fact that how important it is for houses of worship and faith communities to get involved. You don't necessarily have to become a foster family to wrap around a foster family, to provide support Ben and I, we had a discussion this morning about we have to make the conversation around foster care something that engages people. And we have to tell people that this is an issue in the community that can be solved with community collaboration. I literally, Ben, just looked in the comments and somebody is dropping a foster care anthem album. These are the things that can normalize a young person that has had to live through some unique situations, and they transition into one of the most amazing things in the world, and that's adulthood. One of the things that we've done in Tennessee very well is we've figured out how to get our houses of worship to encourage families to be foster families by wrapping around them, helping them have resources, doing the external things that might be overwhelming when a family has decided to bring someone new and someone special into their home. I grew up in a very rural Southern community where our houses of worship, our churches were connected to the hip. They might have been different denominations, but they all were focused on the same thing, helping, healing communities and family. These are the things, absolutely, Dr. Johnson, these are the wraparounds that are needed. Our houses of worship are our oldest, largest community in the United States. They were here before government existed. That means we have to get them engaged and involved in supporting the most vulnerable of our people, and that's our young people. So with that, I wanted to leave that closing word and tell you thank you. I look forward to getting on the ground and engaging with you fully from across the United States. Ben and I are going to be the bow tie brothers that make sure that we make sure we leave an opportunity or open the door for opportunities of our houses of worship. Just like Jenny said, get to the table, be at the table, and let's do some amazing work. We look forward to working with you and serving you in any capacity that we can. Thank you so much.
Dr. Burks, thanks for that leadership. Thanks for your bow tie, and thanks for all the work that you're doing to help us coordinate this effort here at HHS. Thanks everybody for joining. Thanks for taking time out of your day as a part of this important work to hear about some of the ways you can be involved, connect, and engage. So let me give you 3 ways you can take a step right now. 1, email us at faith@hhs.gov to let us know you'd like to stay in touch, that you'd like to make sure you're getting our newsletter if you're not getting that, or just if you want to know about some of the trainings and resources that Director Korn talked about. We'll make sure to get that information out to you all as a part of letting us know that you want to be part of this conversation. That's a great way for you to also connect with the White House Faith Office. Email at faith@hhs.gov. I commit to reading every single email that you all send from this webinar and from the recording to make sure that we connect you to all the important conversations that you want to be part of. Next, we've had the great folks at Find Help on our webinar today. Findhelp.com is a great way to find the foster care and adoption organizations that are working in your community. You just go to the website, findhelp.com. It's free. You type in your zip code, and you can be connected to a number of organizations and entities in your community that are addressing these challenges. And just like Kim talked about and Eric, you can find the nonprofits that are working in your community and find ways to walk right alongside them and come alongside and support that important work they're doing, because it makes such a huge difference in the outcomes for the lives of the children they're serving. And lastly, as a part of that kind of coming alongside, just come in and say, how can I help? How can I be a support and a caring effort alongside the work you're doing? Where can I step in so that you can step up and step out into the important work you're doing to serve foster youth, to address the needs of youth in our community? I think you heard both from Eric and from Kim and from Alex and from Jenny about how important those opportunities are and how we need your help in these systems to be those caring support and relationships in local communities. So again, sign up for our emails, email us, let us know you're committed and excited to work with us on this issue at faith@hhs.gov. You can use websites like findhelp.com to find groups in your area, and then ask ways that you can walk alongside those efforts and say, how can I help? How can I be of service to the important work you're doing in our local community? It's going to make a huge difference in their day, maybe going to make their Christmas. So let me end by saying Merry Christmas to everyone. Happy Hanukkah to those who are celebrating, to all of the observances and the family time that we have this year. May each of us experience the joy that this season can bring and the hope, and may we then find ways to give it away, to share it with other people, to be a blessing in other people's lives, whether or not it's a nonprofit or a house of worship or any number of places where we can give back in our local communities to make a difference. I pray that there are blessings and joy in this time and that we find ways to give it away every single day until we meet again in the new year. You'll be seeing new updates, new webinars, new things that we're going to be bringing. Stay in touch, reach out to us, and we love to be in touch. Many blessings. Thanks, everyone. Have a good day.